So far in this Genshin fashion series, I've covered Mondstadt and its easy breezy Renaissance style, but now we're going to move along to Liyue. In looking at Liyue's style in general, it's based off of traditional Chinese clothing. So for example, we're seeing a lot of Hanfu inspired wear and silhouettes, and emphasis on tradition, as that's just an overall concept across pretty much most of the character outfits. In Mondstadt, it was a city of freedom, so there was a lot of diverse backgrounds and a lot of different ways that the characters showed up. I feel like in Liyue, despite some of the diverse backgrounds that the characters have, there's still a very consistent visual and aesthetic element that brings them all together, almost a little bit uniform, not necessarily in a bad way. And then thinking about the element Geo, which is what this region is based around, we're getting a lot of structure from the characters' outfits. I agree with my one and only YouTube member, Papa Mache, on the fact that there's like a lot of cuts and details to the clothing, which I feel like really exemplifies the sense of business, the sense of kind of contractual arrangement made between everybody, which further ties to like the tradition. Everybody feels connected. It's just an overall aesthetic that feels rooted, stable, and just really well acknowledged and recognized. As far as looking at these characters' outfits, I'm gonna once again rank them loosely from least favorite to most favorite, with the following criteria. But before we hop into that, I do just want to give a quick shout out to Dragon 2000 for the super thanks on my Mondstadt video. Always nice to just receive a little bit of patronage here and there. And I'm sure that everyone's excited to make their way to Sumeru eventually, which we'll get there, but just gotta kind of cover these regions one at a time. But anyway, thank you again, and I hope you enjoy the video. Starting with Yaoyao, you already know I don't have a lot to say about these kitty characters, and I mean, this outfit is cute, not really anything too revolutionary. Some great subtle details, love the bells in the hair, and her boots are actually kind of cute, but overall, glad that she ties to her elemental typing, but nothing really to write home about. Xiangling, I played her as one of like my main fire characters early on when I was playing Genshin years ago, and so I appreciate like her ability. I just appreciate her personality, but the overall outfit is just kind of like, it's very reflective of, I think, a more kind of heat-oriented season, something to keep cool that even kind of ties to her alternate a little bit. And the color palette, I feel like, ties to spices, ingredients. And a decent structure, love the body confidence, but overall, I just feel like, in compared to all the subsequent character outfits to come, and her alternate kind of is what really roots her position in this list for me is, even for a winter outfit, you know how I feel about these super bare legs, and especially for a winter outfit, it just feels very imbalanced in my perspective. I love the kind of concept of her changing up the food that she serves and how she wears based on the season, but I really would have loved to see maybe a little bit of what's covering the boots moved up more towards the knee for like a more full leg covering that gives more of that soft fur-like texture. With regard to Xiao, I've always kind of felt like his outfit is just a little bit too casual to really kind of super pique my interest. Lots of great decorative elements, and I really love his color palette. So there's some varying kind of textures and cuts and dimensions to his overall style. And I feel like it is reflective of him as a Yakshas, if I'm saying that correctly, the only surviving member. So, and then ties well to his element too. I just feel like it doesn't have as much of that like sharp, high fashion touch. Qiqi, for a child little like character, love the level of detail in her look, especially just like the statement necklace. She's a zombie-ish character. I didn't know she was specifically a zombie. I knew she was tied to some sort of like undead element, but I wasn't aware that was fully the case. So honestly, ice makes total sense in this regard, like a dead body. But love the color palette, obviously. And really it's just the designs and the patterns. Xinyan, I'm just like, rock and roll. I love to see it, love the energy, love that bite, and I definitely feel like that's where fire can kind of come through. And I love the studded spiky elements, but where this needs more attitude. This needs a little bit more accessorizing and detail, especially for someone who's so rebellious and in your face and really marching to the beat of her own drum or guitar, so to speak. I would have loved to have seen, even if it was more of those like studded spiky elements throughout the rest of the outfit, a belt. This needs a belt. I've typically said her name Beidou, but I'm pretty sure it's like Beidou. And like, I do love this outfit. It has just enough body confidence and structure. And I think the piece over the shoulder is what really gives that authority as she's a captain of like a fleet crew. So I'm definitely getting a little bit of that kind of rough and tough energy from her, especially just like with the eye patch going on, but still feels plenty feminine and graceful. Electro's a surprising element. I mean, obviously it would have been on the nose to be fire and they don't always have to match the element, but would have actually liked to see maybe a little bit more purple too. Ganyu is a simple, chic, sleek, cool sleigh. I mean, it just feels really tight and put together. And I think I especially just love the contrast of the white and the black with also the contrast of the blue and the red. Love some dual contrast kind of relationship with the color palette going on. And that's really what makes the outfit the most interesting. In addition to the garter elements, like this is the type of pronounced garter element that I'd like to see on a lot of these bare legs, like just take up more of the space. This introduces the concept of these alternate dresses for these female characters. While I'm not the biggest fan, this is almost the opposite, like too much leg. Like, I just wish the garter elements were a little bit more, but I mean, it's a chic kind of like high class celebration anyway, so I understand the context. But this is a gifted dress because she's such a hard worker and she should be made to feel like she can relax and have a good time. And I feel like that's a really great indication of what fashion can do for people, especially dabbling in more luxurious styles and aesthetics. It can really elevate how you feel about yourself, how you carry yourself. And even though I don't feel like it's the most immediate strongest fit for her as a style, it still is giving her an opportunity to kind of lean into that and discover the full range of what she can embody. Now, what's interesting about Lanyan is she almost has that kind of style to her default dress and clothing already. And this is where we definitely start to get into some uniformity, because I feel like this is a structure that we've seen a few times now up until this point. But I like the differentiation that she has with just a little bit more of those silver, sharper elements. It feels almost a little more tribal with some of her pattern and design. So that's her strongest differentiating component. And just knowing that it's the wind element and seeing a little bit more of those winged kind of like flowy motifs and just shapes, I feel like it's really well paid off. Like, do you see what I mean by similar structures? Even when we look at Hu Tao, even though those legs are really coming at us, at least the stockings are a little bit higher. So at least we're getting a little bit more accessorizing and use of the space. But really love the gold detailing in her outfit, and does feel like it has that kind of darker, deep tone that is fitting for a funeral director. And the pops of red really stand out against that darker base. Just really, I've always been a fan of her look, and it's honestly really easy to replicate from like a character inspired outfit perspective. I've done this before on TikTok. I have mixed feelings on the alternate outfit though. It was gifted by Xiangling, and it's a winter outfit. But once again, I'm not getting the full winter fantasy from this. Maybe the scarf, which I think the scarf is a really nice touch. I like the change in color palette. It's a great contrast with a little bit more of that white to really open up her aesthetic and her color and give her just a little bit more range. Love the glasses, love the hat. It almost looks like a chef's uniform, which is surprising that Xiangling wouldn't wear something more like this. Now, when it comes to Keqing, I feel like I love the outfit. I do. It's, once again, we're just really in that consistent, almost uniform like structure. And now that I'm taking another look at it, I'm just kind of like, huge bias because of the color palette, great alignment with her element. But I do really just like that she's about her business. She's like, people can choose their own fate. You don't need to rely on even the gods or anybody else. You can do what you got to do. And I feel like this is something that she could just carry herself with confidence in. She took advice from Ningguang on the fact that, like, I work hard. I need to treat myself. Like, I don't want to be like Ganyu overworking myself. I want to channel some of that opulence and some of that like luxury and relaxation that Ningguang can channel. And she took advice and she got herself a well-tailored couture dress for the Lantern Rites Festival. And I feel like that is just such a great story behind this. And once again, similar to Ganyu, just highlights that fashion can really elevate your mood, can help you just channel a whole new vibe and a whole new persona. And you should treat yourself, reward yourself for working hard. Get something nice. Shenhe gets a lot of benefit just based off of how well this bodysuit complements her hips. Like, the hip cutouts are doing a lot of work here. I've always thought that when I've looked at her outfit, and I really like the gradient effect, and I really love how there's just a little bit of that hint of white at the bottom, which kind of ties into the upper body. So some interesting coordination, really helping you scan the outfit from top to bottom. Overall, a little flat, but some decent detailing to kind of help fill in some of that void. I love the story behind her dress as well. She comes from like an otherworldly realm, and like she's living as a mortal for one of the first times, so she didn't have a childhood. And so she was gifted this dress just to be able to feel what it feels like to be given something that like, and almost feel childlike in getting a new toy or something special. And even though the dress is beautiful, not the most standout, I feel like it's very practical. A woman could easily grab a dress like this and just rock it at an awards show or an event. But I just love the concept of, once again, being gifted something special and being made to feel special, especially with something you could wear as chic, high fashion designer like this. Yun Jin is one of the few characters who feels very traditional Chinese attire, but is at least giving us so much more splash of color and just a little bit of whimsy without being too whimsical. She's a theater girly, so it makes sense that she would be dabbling in something a little bit more vibrant and a little bit more presentation and display oriented, even artisan oriented. Lots of great structure and elements to her style that I just think is so strong, which, I mean, maybe it's more the structure that ties to the geo element. That's a bit surprising here, but once again, it doesn't always have to connect. As much as I want to say gaming, I'm sure it's like maybe gaming. Oh, he looks like Chongyun, and we'll see that in a second. Again, that uniformity that's going on. But this is so practical. It's almost giving like b-boy street dancer energy. And I feel like that's what's so unique from like a modern, contemporary, traditional, hybrid aesthetic twist situation that, you know, I super appreciate and I constantly talk about. Just great tight coordination. Maybe not the most novel aesthetic for a character, but very well put together nonetheless. And he has a half-tucked shirt. I constantly do that and get weird comments from people who don't get it. Those who get it, get it. But Chongyun did it first, all right? And I love the fact that it's like more of like a genuine like cropped jacket moment. Great statement belt situation with enough of that kind of like cloth in the front to tie it to something traditional further, but also reinvent the look. This is very similar to Gaming, a very easy outfit to replicate from a character-inspired outfit perspective, but still some bold gold, like hardware accessory details to just really give this a little extra touch of opulence. He is pure yang. What is it? Pure yang energy, pure positivity, pure light. And I feel like we get that freshness, that coolness. His name has always been the hardest for me to pronounce. Xingqiu. I really love the shape of his jacket or robe with a little bit of an asymmetry on the cut of it. Really just great roundedness and overall silhouette. And I even love the asymmetrical kind of fastening of it too. The sleeves layered, ruffled, just feels like a cascading wave tying to his element, water. And I just like how they also tie to his stockings, which just gives, once again, some great coordination across the look. Plenty of gold detailing, including on the lining. Just feels so opulent, but a little youthful with the fact that he's wearing shorts too. But I love his alternate look. It's honestly not as, I think, authoritative just with the jacket, but the story behind it. I actually did the research on the stories. I don't usually like to do this, but they were somewhat interesting. Is he was at like some sort of event, I think, where maybe there's some Fontaine guests. So we already know that Fontaine's probably working with that super posh luxury style. and he wanted to make them feel at home. He read that in a book, that that's what someone should do, and that's what he channeled with this look. He reminds me of CL Phantom Hive from Black Butler, especially in this outfit. I thought Shenhe kind of reminded me of Bayonetta to an extent, just like with the tight bodysuit, more so Bayonetta 1, but Xianyun absolutely is giving the full fantasy, especially just with the glasses, the hairstyle, and maybe a little bit of Bayonetta 2 and 3 more so, with the shape and silhouette of the look and the drama. But some great jade coloring to tie to her element, and also reflective of the crane form that she embodies. I just really love the multidimensional conceptual look or concept to her look. So much to kind of unpack and dig into with regard to her style. And she's the one who gifted Ganyu and Shenhe their dresses. So she's really looking out. She knows her fashion business. She's a real one. Ningguang is the definition of luxury, of lifestyle, of high class lifestyle. She literally had, I think, like a house or some sort of like temple or territory in the clouds. Like, she is higher than life. And we see that just written all over, all the great detailing. Even the color palette just screams luxury, money, and prosperity. She's a mogul. She is a businesswoman, all right? Like, she's a mover and shaker. She is a trend setter. Her alternate's a little bit more of a subtle, simple slay. Almost leaves a little bit more to be desired, to be honest, but she already gave us a lot with her default. She can go with a effortless, simple, confident style. I like the story behind this one. It's a bit more moody. She lost a lot. She lost her temple in the sky, her jade situation in the sky, in the clouds. And so she really had to reflect and reminisce on the beauty that she sees in her surroundings and nature and just how things work and how life is. And she's able to pull herself back together and continue to serve her confidence and her aura. Yanfei is the body confident queen in this region. Always loved her outfit. It's whimsical, it's personal style. It still has those traditional elements involved. I think even almost like a little collar kind of wrapping around her neck just to really give that sophistication. She's a legal advisor, all right? She knows her stuff, but she's also not afraid just to kind of do her thing and show up how she wants to show up. True to the region, true to herself, true to her element. Like, she's checking all of the different boxes, and we can see a little bit of that contrast with like the split red and black situation going on in her look. Like, she has multiple sides to her. She's not a one-dimensional girl, and sophisticated but fun. She is a vibe. I think you pronounce his name Baizhu. Love it. We're getting but when I saw him for the first time years ago, I was like, we're getting a crop top moment. You already know that he came to serve. And the color palette, absolutely exquisite. He was I think one of the first Dendro characters, and we can definitely see that coming through in that color palette. And just the fact that he's medicinal. So I feel like he looks like he's smart and he kind of knows his herbs. Definitely just giving this interesting, confident, mysterious, kind of edgy touch. And I just really love the flow. It just feels so flowy, so elegant, especially with the robe over the shoulders. Like, that is doing so much work here. Just such great patterning, detailing, accessorizing. 10s. Even though the Genshin wiki technically has child categorized in a different region, I'm just going to cover him here. I've always been a fan of his outfit. It is just one of the sleekest, sickest suited looks that I've seen in really, I think, all of video games, just to be completely honest. No exaggeration. Love how it's fastened at the top and how it opens up for just a little peek of the stomach or the abdomen. Like, it's just absolutely perfect. The scarf is such a strong statement item. He has that sophistication, that sharp cut, and that edge to him that is perfectly well suited for the tone and concept of the region. The whole kind of water concept, I don't necessarily get elementally, but again, it doesn't hurt to have a character subdue some expectations. Yelan, like, I love her sharp, unapologetic slay going on here. Like, when I first saw her character, I was like, we got another bad one up in here. She is just so sick. Love the bodysuit once again, but at least we get a little bit of that kind of blue cloth element in the front just to help it not be as flat as Shenhe's was. It gives it a little bit more dimension and just something to work with, a little bit more movement. Really also just love that white jacket over her shoulders. Like, it's such a nice, soft, easier, breezier contrast to the more kind of sharp, tight structure of her core look. But you know, Zhongli takes the top spot. I mean, he's not only the Geo Archon, but he reflects everything that is right about this region. The structure, the order, the stability, the groundedness. It's just such an incredible statement jacket. Like, the jacket is, I want it immediately. I mean, the pants and the shoes are whatever, but it's just the jacket and the tie and the shoulders. So much frame and so much just dominance within a very traditional and practical framework and composition for men to step into. Like, this is a top runway look. This is something easily worn to an event. Another region checked off of this Genshin fashion series. Tell me which characters resonated with you in terms of their style, and which ones do you think that you could translate to an inspired outfit in the real world? Next, we have Inazuma coming up on the list. Looking forward to that, but until the next video, I'll talk to you later.